Daksha. I'm making this video because a large number of people have reached out and asked me about my experience at Barcelona Technology School doing their UX Design Masters. Understandably, because there are a lot of programs out there promising a really awesome UX education. So it's really hard to choose which one's the best for you. Okay, so I'm going to use this video to try to tackle some of your most asked questions. Here's what I'll cover. Will this master's help me get a job? Is this master's better than a boot camp? What about the cultural exchange portion of it? Can I work part-time while doing this master's? What can I expect from the curriculum? I'll go over what I loved most about the master's, and I'll also go over what I didn't love the most about my experience. And at the end, I'll share some wisdom and deep thoughts. Okay, here we go. So this is a question that I get the most. After completing this degree, which is a year long, will it increase my chances of getting a job? The challenge varies depending on where on this planet you're looking for a UX job. I live in Toronto, Canada, and after I completed my internship, which I'll talk to you about a little bit later, I came back home, and this was also during COVID when everything was shut. I started my job hunt from scratch. I would say that having a UX-related master's degree in general definitely helped me get my foot in the door. Larger companies saw that on my resume. They were more willing to give me a chance. They were more willing to give me that first interview. So I'd say yes, it definitely increased my chances in landing a job here in Canada. Now, the jobs I were targeting were larger, well-known companies, rather than startups where UX design might be a little bit more specialized and you might need a little bit more experience to work at. Also, the pay might be a little bit higher at some of these places. The next question I often get as well: should I do this master's or should I do a boot camp? Alright, so this depends as well. Now, this master's is not an academic master's, so do not expect essay papers or research papers or even any field work. This master's is very hands-on. It's almost like an extended boot camp. Is that necessarily a bad thing? No. It gives you a lot more time to grow and ask questions and leverage the network that you now have. I would also keep my expectations in check. At the end of the year, I did not necessarily feel like an expert in UX design or product design. I just felt like I knew enough to begin. Whether or not you should do a boot camp local to you or this master's all the way in Barcelona depends on what your goals are for yourself. For me, I really wanted to travel outside of my country and I wanted to experience a new culture, and that's why this master's was a great excuse for me to do that. Turned out that the actual master's was pretty good too, but honestly, I didn't go in with a lot of expectations. So if I had done a boot camp, what I would not have gotten is a portfolio. After I finished my master's, I had enough pieces and projects to piece together a presentable portfolio. Also, if you don't already know, please know now, your portfolio is of the utmost importance when it comes to landing a UX job. This is what's going to get your foot in the door and through the door. Your portfolio is going to serve as all your talking points during any interview. What I loved about the Masters is that they understood this and they did put a lot of effort and emphasis in trying to help their students build the best portfolio possible. Okay, now let's talk about cultural exchange. So what I noticed when people were inquiring about this Masters is that they were asking all these questions, but it almost seemed like they had already made up their mind about something, and they were trying to rationalize it. If you have ignored all the boot camps out there, and you're looking to Barcelona to pursue a master's in UX design, chances are that it's a little bit more about getting out of your country and exploring something new than it might be about the actual course and learning itself. And that's fine. You don't need to make excuses to live your best life. If you want to travel, and if you want to explore Barcelona's rich startup culture and art and meet new people, there's no better place to do that than Barcelona. I highly, highly recommend. And if you want to use this master's as an excuse to society to go and do that, go for it. If travel and new experiences is part of what you are seeking, prioritize it and please use it to help fuel your decision. It's a valid point in your decision making and well worth the money. I'll also talk a little bit about the class and networking. So in my master's, in my class, there were 20 different people from 20 different places around the world. And I got to work with each and every one of them. I learned so much from these interactions with these people. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about product design and art. And I learned so much about relationships and communication, of course. So this type of experience was invaluable. All right, in terms of Barcelona, Barcelona is very diverse. There are so many people there from all over the world. Barcelona houses the Catalan. It's a part of Catalonia. So over there, don't expect to hear people speaking Spanish. You'll actually hear more Catalan, which is sort of like a mixture between Italian and French. Then you will hear Spanish. That being said, everybody in Catalonia also knows how to speak Spanish. So if you are fluent in Spanish or if that's something you want to practice, you also get to practice that in Barcelona. Another huge part about Barcelona is the architecture. Gaudi architecture specifically, that's who the Sagrada Familia was designed by. More than anything, you will find artists of all wakes in Barcelona. Traditional artists, digital artists, singers, songwriters, dancers, you name it. Being in an environment where art was valued so much and it was okay to indulge yourself in things outside of your work, it was so refreshing coming in as a North American to be in an environment where art was valued and appreciated. Can I work part-time? It depends. I think you can definitely work part-time. It might be more challenging for you to work part-time if you do not speak Spanish. But I do know a lot of friends who took up startup opportunities or volunteer opportunities part-time while they were studying the master's. So yes, you definitely can. I would say leverage the network, leverage the staff, the school staff, and professionals to help you find a good internship. Or if you speak Spanish, you could maybe work at a local restaurant. You could work at a local skate shop, whatever fits your mood. Another question I often get is how difficult would it be to get an internship in Barcelona? Not super difficult. If you put in the effort, you will definitely see results. I think most of my peers ended up landing internships either at startups or at larger companies. Me, I landed an internship at Nespresso Barcelona, which was actually the headquarters for all over the world. And although I did not land an internship in UX design, I was hired as a technical writer, probably because of my English speaking skills. But it was such an awesome experience. I got to work as the only non-developer in a team of developers. So I learned how to work in an agile environment. I learned about the software development cycle. And through technical writing, I learned a lot about product management and product design. I also got to work and meet a lot of UX designers at Nespresso. So, awesome experience. And as I explained, you do not need to know Spanish to work in Barcelona. My entire team was English speaking. All of Nespresso headquarters was English speaking. And that's because, like I mentioned, Barcelona is a hub of people from all over the world and especially Europe. So the common language everyone speaks is English. The last thing I want to end with is that it all depends on you and your goals. I'm not here to tell you what the best decision is. I try to be as impartial as possible because ultimately, whether or not to go to BTS and spend the money all depends on your visualization for your ideal life. So I would highly suggest taking some time to sit down and write down and visualize what your ideal life looks like in the next year, in the next 5 years. Who do you actually want to be and what do you want to accomplish? Write it down, visualize it, prioritize it, and then make a decision. And if you have any more questions, I'm here. Shoot me a message, and I will do my best to answer as best as possible. I really hope this helped. Thanks for watching, and see you later.